It was a stormy night in the heart of rural Ireland, and Conall O'Sullivan, a rugged blacksmith, stood alone in his forge. The rhythmic clang of his hammer against the glowing horseshoe echoed through the darkness, mingling with the distant rumble of thunder. Shadows danced on the stone walls, flickering with every breath of the fire, as if the forge itself were alive. Outside, the storm raged, rain lashing against the windows, and inside, a heavier presence loomed. Conall paused for a moment, wiping his brow, unaware of the chilling whispers creeping closer, carried on the cold wind that now swirled around the room. As Conall hammered the glowing horseshoe, a sharp, metallic clang echoed behind him, distinct and deliberate. He stopped, his heart racing, the air in the forge suddenly heavy. The flames in the hearth flickered wildly, casting eerie shadows that seemed to move on their own. A cold chill wrapped around him, unnatural against the heat of the fire. His breathing quickened as a low whistle filled the room, circling him like a taunting specter. "Who's there?" he called, his voice trembling. The only reply was the oppressive silence, broken by faint whispers that seemed to rise from the very walls, warning him he was not alone. Conall's breath quickened as the whispers grew louder, seeping from the shadows like a chorus of the damned. The forge grew unnervingly cold, the fire struggling to keep the room lit. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw it. A figure, dark and translucent, standing still in the far corner. It was a man, his blacksmith's apron stained with soot, his face grotesque with deep, twisted scars. The figure raised a ghostly hammer and struck an invisible anvil with a deafening clang that reverberated through the room. Conall's heart raced as the figure slowly turned, locking eyes with him. "You cannot finish what I started," it said, its voice cold and hollow, a whisper of forgotten agony. The flames flickered and dimmed as an eerie silence enveloped the room, suffocating and unnatural. The ghost's voice, thick with sorrow and bitterness, echoed in the forge. "This forge was once mine," it whispered, its figure flickering in and out of view. "I crafted tools for this village, horseshoes, weapons for men who never returned. I was their creator, but when I could no longer work, they saw me as nothing more than a burden." Conall's heart clenched as the ghost's words sank in. "I burned alive in my own forge, and now this place, this forge, is my grave." The air turned frigid and the fire faltered, its glow barely enough to pierce the oppressive darkness. The figure took a step closer. "You have unknowingly taken my place. The debts are yours now." Conall's blood ran cold as the realization hit. The curse of this forge was far from over, and he was now a part of its tragic past. Conall fell to his knees, his voice shaking with fear. "Please, I didn't know," he pleaded. The ghost's hollow eyes remained fixed on him, its expression a mix of anguish and rage. After a long silence, it pointed to the corner of the forge. "Beneath the floor lies my ledger," it said, its voice cold as the grave. "It holds the debts they claimed I owed. Burn it and I may find peace." Conall's heart raced as he stumbled toward the trapdoor, barely visible in the shadows. He pried it open and found an old, tattered book. The ghost's voice softened. "Do this, and I may leave this place forever." Conall took the book and approached the forge, the fire flickering weakly, awaiting his choice. Conall's hands shook as he pried open the trapdoor, revealing the cursed ledger beneath. The air grew colder, and the ghost's presence loomed behind him, its eyes burning with silent urgency. He hesitated, the weight of the ancient book heavy in his hands. The room was deathly still, the only sound the faint crackling of the dying fire. With a trembling breath, Conall threw the ledger into the flames. The fire roared to life, turning an unnatural blue as the pages ignited, and a wave of heat washed over him. The ghost let out a long, anguished sigh as the torment that had bound it for so long began to fade. The forge fell silent, and Conall felt a weight lift, as if the very air had been set free. The blacksmith kept his promise, ensuring the forge became a place of respect and craft. But on stormy nights, the faint sound of a hammer striking an anvil could still be heard, reminding all that some spirits never truly leave.